You know what? I'm going to be very bold about this right now. I'm going to say that this was one of my favorite karate combat events ever. And it really lived up to the Mexican culture, I feel, you know? Everyone showed their heart. They really pushed it. Like I said, they're battling their opponents and the environment, and they really lived up to it, man. I mean, beautiful, beautiful fights. By the way, you said Efren Escudero and Rafael Alves was going to be an amazing fight to watch for this weekend.
Right.
For combat sports.
Right.
It was phenomenal, and Efren Escudero really performed well. It was a tight fight.
Yeah, it was a tight fight, but it wasn't the fight of the night for me.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't the fight of the night for me. I thought it was an amazing fight. I thought that both guys came out and did their thing, but there were some really bangers that stood out, man. Some bangers that stood out. In fact, I got a text message from somebody who, they said they had thanked me for inviting them to the show. It was their first time coming to a karate combat, and they said that the main event with Eric Perez and Ian Chamaya was the best fight they've ever seen.
No way.
Yeah. And I mean, when you think about this, like, to get that extra round, the way that was done, I mean, it was like a movie. My man was calling for it, Eric Perez calling for it. And you knew he felt he kind of deserved it. And like, it was close enough to where you could say he could have got it. But Chamaya may have, if he wanted to argue about it and say maybe he thought he won, but he didn't. He said, no, let's do this last round. And they went out there and performed, they delivered, and there were moments of the night where you could feel the energy in the room. It was palpable. I mean, it was an amazing night.
Honestly, that fight proved how great the karate combat roster is. Because, Eric Perez being 7-2 in the UFC, and UFC being, the highest possible level in MMA in the world, hands down. And for him to go into a striking battle with our former champion, and it was just so tight. It really shows that the level here is really great, man. And I was really proud of both of the guys.
Well, you know what else too, man, is that for whatever reason, I spoke with Andre Ewell after his fight. He had an amazing fight and he lost. And normally when I talk to fighters after they lose, they're down and they're depressed and they're down on themselves. He wasn't down on himself. He was just happy to still be a part of karate combat. He said, they said that I'm going to return, and that was what he was happy about. Like, he's walking around, he was in good spirit, and the fact that he was so optimistic about his opportunities about coming back to karate combat was amazing.
No, and his fight was so special because I didn't expect him to be so fast. He was remarkably fast. He was so quick. He was performing so well. He was winning all the rounds until he wasn't. And there was just that one moment. And again, it just brings back, like, he fought the guy, Levi Marroquin, who's just an animal. And I felt like he was beating him to every single punch. And that guy just bit on his mouthpiece and went forward and caught him and then took the win. It was special.
Well, how about the influencers?
Dude, okay.
To me, it lived up to what I was hoping it would.
Definitely.
For sure. And, Ben Armstrong, in the press conference yesterday, I spoke about the hunger that MMA fighters have, that young, hungry guys have. And I saw that in Ben Armstrong. I saw in his face that hunger and that determination that he wasn't going to quit. Like, he would still be fighting right now if he had to. He wasn't going to quit. He had that hunger that I normally only see in young, hungry fighters. And that's impressive.
It was very strange because I never thought I would speak like this about these influencer fights. I was very impressed. I mean, especially with that fight. Look what it did to the whole crowd.
Yeah.
His spirit was contagious to everybody. The whole crowd was flipping out, man, in Mexico. And they actually nicknamed him during the fight. They started screaming Geppetto, the creator of Pinocchio, the old man. They started chanting Geppetto throughout the fight. And, I mean, he's a superstar over here, man. People really want to see him back.
And I wouldn't mind watching him fight again, actually. To be honest with you, so for me, I'm watching this man fight, and obviously from a skill perspective, he's lacking, but that's not what this is about for him. It's about that inner battle that he has with himself and being able to fight and overcome adversity in life. And everybody talks about his story about how he lost everything and he fought to get it back. And you felt that and you saw that. We got to witness that type of determination in real time. We got to witness that. And I thought, for me, I'm sitting there talking to Robin Black on the side. I said, he's going to go for 30 seconds, and like every other guy, of privilege is going to quit. No, he did not have that. He had that young eye of the tiger, hunger that some pros I know don't have.
Definitely. And going back into the karate combat part of the card, one thing that was amazing was Fabricio. I forgot his last name. Fabricio fought Nikita. It was Russia versus Mexico. That was another great fight. They really pushed it back and forth. And what stood out to me there was Nikita turned visibly like pinkish, grayish, like it was a scary color. And I could see him taking deep breaths. And he, again, never quit. And they went all the rounds. They went that extra round. They did, and it was amazing. Both athletes did a phenomenal job there. They really pushed.
I think that was the fight where I forgot his name as I called it out, and I was like, hey, give it up for my man.
The fight that we're all going to forget about because it was like 9 seconds long, I think it's the fastest knockout in karate combat history, was Shaz Brind.
Yeah, and it was 21 seconds to be exact.
It was 21 seconds. Oh, wow, I felt like it was a lot quicker. But, I mean, it's remarkable because, Shaz, when I used to be a coach in karate combat, I would corner him. Now I have to sit back, and it breaks my heart every time to not be able to coach an athlete, from my team. And I'm sitting back there, and I have to just keep a straight face, and I'm itching to see what's going to happen. We're giving him purposely the hardest opponents we're finding right now. His last fight, he fought a guy that was like 32-0 in Muay Thai. He knocked the guy out in the second round. This guy, we found a 9-2 champion. He's a Peruvian fighter, and he knocks the guy out so quick in the first round, and he's just such an impressive guy. And when you find out his background story, living in the mountains, being the first person in his family to ever make it to America, you just feel like he's a gentleman that deserves everything he's getting, and I feel so happy for him.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing him fight more. I tried to bait a potential opponent in him, but he didn't really fall for it like I wanted him to. But I think he's definitely special. He's got a lot of talent, and definitely look forward to seeing more of him.
For sure. There was one more fight. I want to ask you this. I don't want to influence you. Alejandro Flores versus Bruno Assis, the co-main event. How'd you feel about that fight?
I thought it went the way it should have. I thought Alejandro Flores was one step ahead, if not a half a step ahead of Bruno Assis the whole night. I thought he won that fight.
I felt like I was expecting a little bit different of a fight. I thought they were going to go at each other very hard and kind of really stay in the center and throw. It was more of a timid fight, and again, I keep bringing it back to the altitude. No one's really going to understand it unless they experienced it. I really feel like a lot of people adjusted their game plans based on that.
And it showed. It was very evident that at moments in the fight where they probably could have pulled the trigger, they didn't. They waited, held back, and looked to counter as opposed to initiate. That was probably due to the altitude, not wanting to get tired, because I'll tell you, there's no worse feeling than being in a fight and tired. It's a really bad feeling. So I think that they probably adjusted their game knowing that they're 7,000 feet above sea level and said, you know what, I'm going to hold back a little bit and see if I can't give a little bit later. And then when you don't know if it's going to be another round at the end of it, I get it. I mean, I kind of get it. So it's a tricky thing. You
just mentioned that Rafael Alves wasn't going to walk out for the fourth round.
He was doing everything he could to not fight again. He was like, yo, somebody get this tape off, get the gloves off before they make me fight again. But somehow he was able to come back out and do some more backflips. Yeah. Somebody was able to come back out and do more backflips. But speaking of backflips and acrobatics and all that good stuff, we can't forget about Craig Jones's flying triangle on the wall against Phil Rowe. I mean, it was an amazing performance. And I mean, he just showed that there's just levels to this.
Definitely, and he told me before the match that he was going to exclusively try submissions on the wall to be the first one in history to ever do that, because it's just never been done. And I can't believe he was able to do it how he did. And one thing about Craig and Phil, I just want to say, as a president of a league, it was such an honor to work with them because they sold that match so well, and they did everything in their power to promote it. And to be honest, I really feel like they absolutely stole the show. I feel like the majority of people that came to watch were because of Phil Rowe and Craig Jones.
Yeah, Phil Rowe is a tremendous, charismatic talent. I'm hoping he never wants my job because I have to give it to him. But he's a tremendous talent, great fighter, and just a good sport about everything. I mean, after he got choked out tonight, he crawled up the cage and said, "Man, that was tight." That was all he said. He was like, "Yo, man, that was tight."
That's awesome.
So I mean, tremendous talent, but great job by all the guys tonight. I mean, it was an amazing night of fights, and can't wait to do it again.
Definitely, man. So successful night here in Mexico City, February 23rd. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go back, watch the YouTube page, download the Karate Combat app, check that out. We're gonna go March 22nd, Cancun, Mexico for our kickback number 2. Imagine a music festival / Karate Combat fights. It's gonna be absolutely insane. The kickback fights, I get a little more control as far as madness goes. You know, these normal events, I try to make them clean and professional. The kickback fights, I have a lot of crazy surprises for you guys. You guys are gonna love it. And then we are going to Dubai in April. And this is huge for us. The biggest event in the history of our organization will be in Dubai on April 20th. You guys are absolutely gonna love it. So keep with us and see the growth.